truth of the matter is that in the world today, like, there's been many challenges that have happened to humanity.
Here we go.
And I've seen, if you don't remember the effect of DDT as a young man, and I read the book by Rachel Carson called Silent Spring. I saw the extinction of animals. I saw millions of babies with birth defects until we woke up and we took this chemical. And I'm going to tell you something. The head of the EPA went on 60 Minutes and said, this can't cause cancer. To prove it, I'm going to drink a teaspoon on 60 Minutes. And he did. And 2 years later, or a few years later, he died of cancer. Not a good move. So we believe that somehow the government is going to be our watchdog. We believe that somehow these big chemical companies have a conscience and they're going to put our safety over their profits. Not a good decision. Because they don't. They put their profits over our safety every single day. Now, I've seen things come and go. We saw irradiated food. Oh, it's totally safe to take spent nuclear rods and expose your food to it. Then we learned it wasn't. It's totally safe to use DDT. Then we learned it wasn't. It's totally safe to use hydrogenated oils. Then we learned it wasn't. Lead in paint. Then we learned it wasn't. Asbestos in insulation. Then we learned it wasn't. And every single one of these, red dye number 2, red dye number 4, every one of these has now been proven to cause cancer and create human suffering. And what's our job? To end it. Well, every hero needs an opponent, right? Oh, not me. I'm not the hero in this story. You guys are. So we're now facing the greatest human health crisis in over 40 years. It came about from a desire to eliminate the need for human labor in our fields. We didn't want, in case you don't know about agriculture, they hire humans to go in and pull all the weeds that are competing with the foods. But if you can create a chemical to do that job, then you don't need to hire the humans, and problem solved. But every time they solve a problem the easy way, they always create a really bad problem. You see, they created a chemical that was so powerful that it would kill everything that grew, including the food. So in order to make sure the food didn't die when they sprayed the chemical, they actually altered the food to make it not appear to be a plant. And so if the chemical didn't recognize it as a plant wouldn't die. So they took the genes from a fish, they took genes from an animal, they took genes from other things that were living that were not plants, and they combined it with the genes of plants so the chemical would not recognize it as a plant and it would kill it. And so we all thought, you know what the problem is? The problem is these GMO seeds. That's the problem. They must be making us sick. And how many of us believed it was the GMO seeds making us sick? And we still make proof that it is. But here's what we learned. It wasn't necessarily the seeds, although I don't want them, don't like them, and don't need them, but this chemical. This chemical is toxic. And they're spraying it on our food, and they're spraying it on our highways to kill the weeds on the side of the road, and they're spraying it next to schools, and they're spraying it in parks, and they're spraying it everywhere. In your apartment complex, anywhere they don't want stuff to grow, they're spraying it. Which means that if you try to avoid it by not eating GMO food, that's not going to be enough. Thought I had a clicker around here, but don't do what I do with it. So, did somebody bring me up my clicker from behind there? Or just go to the next slide? There we go. Well, there's now breaking news. You can see the young Donald Trump there. $1 million note from his dad. No, I'm joking. There's breaking news, and the breaking news is that science has now proven, the World Health Organization, okay, as well as the state of California, the National Academy of Sciences has all said that this chemical could be fatal, could be cancer causing. And I think it's time for the moms of the world to step up into their power and to do something about it, okay? Now, I'm not a mom, but I've been called a real mother. So, I fit in. So did you know, next slide please, that 75% of the food found on grocery shelves has been tested and proven to contain a carcinogenic substance residue in that food, which means, next slide, that when you go to the grocery store, you can't tell the difference. You can't tell the difference because by law, they don't have to put it on the label. That is a crime, you guys. That is a crime. Back up one slide, please. There we go. Oh, go forward one slide, please. You didn't say mother, may I? Go back to it. Okay. So, here's the problem. They spray it on our food, but it ends up, next slide, in our guts. There we go. Amber, everybody. So, now, I'm going to give a little quiz here. I want everybody to tell me. First question, and you don't have to answer yet. I'm going to ask all three at once. Where does 80% of our immune system get stimulated by? Where does 90% of our toxins eliminated? And where is 95% of nutrients absorbed? And the answer is? We could say the gut, but the actual term is called the microbiome, and so I want you to, it's pronounced biome. So everybody say microbiome. Microbiome. Because if your stomach is healthy, it's like, oh. So again, the problem is, again, so powerful that we are actually activating the mothers of the world to take control and do something about it. And the way they're going to do it is by understanding something really critical, okay? How many people, now I just got to take a second because we have got people who went to the David Sandoval Academy of Learning and graduated, and they have special seating. Where they are? Stand up for a second. These people took the time, thank you, to study in depth. And what they learned is that in nature uses three ways to control stuff. You could block stuff, you could suppress it, or you could repair it, okay? It's the only way to deal with stress. You could block stress so it never happens. Imagine if you wanted to not get a suntan, then you'd stay inside. You're blocking the sun, you avoid the sun. What if you need to go in the sun, but you don't want to get too burned, then you put suntan lotion on or sunscreen on, or take astaxanthin, even better, and then you reduce the effect of the sun. But once you get a sunburn, your body has to repair that damage. So you go through block, which is you don't have anything happen, suppress, which is how it happens less, or repair, that means it happens and you've got to fix it. Now here's the problem with GMOs, is we can't block them. Because as we said, they're everywhere. You could try to eat organic, you could try to not go to a park, not drive on the highway, not leave your house in the condo. Yeah, there's ways you could maybe do that, but we can't avoid the GMOs, you guys, even if you eat organic, and that's scary. We can't really, we could block it, we can't block it, but we can suppress it. We can suppress it by trying to avoid it, but ultimately we won't be able to. Can't block it, we can suppress it a little bit, but ultimately it's going to affect us, you guys, all of us. Every person in the United States, Canada, anywhere. where this chemical is being used, it will affect us. Now, we have an answer. We have taken the time, we have done the research, and we are about to introduce a product that has never existed before, you guys. And the reason the product never existed before is because the problem never existed before. So we can't block, we can't suppress, so we decided to
remove.
Too fast to my own good here. Okay, I heard that we have to go back, and we can. Okay, so biome is this gut, the microbiome. The biome medic says it all. This is going to repair the microbiome. Now look at this healthy gut, right there. We're going to go beyond non-GMO. You guys get that? This is way past non-GMO because we can't avoid non-GMO. This is the first anti-GMO product in the world. Life-changing. Now I want to explain, everybody imagine that you have a beautiful lawn that's all green, your front lawn is perfectly green, right? And then, you ever see where you take little white pellets and you throw it out on top of the lawn, it's little like fertilizer sitting on top of the lawn? Well, that's what the microbiome looks like. The little grass is called villi. These are like little hair-like things, and they grab nutrients and they pull them into your blood. And little white specks on top, well, those are friendly bacteria, like acidophilus and bifidobacteria, all these things, and they are doing the job of getting rid of toxins and activating the immune system. So I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to remember this, and I want you to repeat it. Scientists call the microbiome the body's second brain. Scientists call the gut the second brain. Now, the microbiome, when that grass starts to die, and half of the grass is dead, that means half of your immune system isn't working. That means toxins are staying in your body. That means that your health is going downhill fast. Leaky gut, toxicity, all these things. So what's it going to do? It's going to remove the glyphosate. It's going to support the healthy bacteria, rebuild the healthy bacteria. It's going to rebuild the intestinal villi. It's going to reduce inflammation in the gut and decrease gut permeability and dramatically improve your immune system. How does that sound? You're going to experience improved digestion, weight loss, mental clarity, and reduced systemic inflammation. Inflammation is affecting our bodies. Inflammation is the enemy. Now, I've set aside 10 minutes to bring on a guy who I love. He's a rock star. He's a medical doctor. He plays hockey. He's into rock and roll. How could I not like him? And in order to wrap a scientific bow around just how important it is, I want to invite my friend Dr. Popkin, the rockin' Dr. Popkin, on stage for 10 minutes to share some incredible information with you. So where is my buddy Dr. Popkin?
Wow. What a crowd. What a convention. What an introduction. David, thank you. How excited is everybody to be here? I'm exceptionally excited. And I want to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Popkin. Most of you know me as the Rock Doc or the Hockey Doc. And as I mentioned, I'm excited to be here. And the first thing that comes to mind is team. You know, we talk a lot about being a team here, and everybody's here. Somebody brought you here, or you brought somebody here. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention my fabulous team that got me on stage here today. Joel Calandrillo, the amazing Joel Calandrillo, Eric Mish, Martin Gordash, all here in the house today. My sponsor, Andrew Thomas, could not be here today. He's home, but the wonderful Andrew Thomas, thank you very much. And two very, very special people to us, Brian and Diana Heilig. They could not be here with us. Their son, baby Grayson, was born premature, and he's in the neonatal intensive care unit. But they are here in spirit, they're in our hearts, and we love you. Anyhow, I'm very excited. I keep using that word excitement, but I'm very excited to speak with you today, and especially excited about the changes that PRM is making to pretty much everything from the website, the products. It's very, very exciting. They've answered all of our questions. We asked for things, and they provided, and that is the sign of a good leader. And thank you very much, David. For me, PRM, it all started when I got into the business, and this whole journey started for me when Joel Calandrillo spoke to David Sandoval and said, you know, I have a doctor that's in my group, and he's doing adiponectin testing and other inflammatory tests in the office, and he's got some interesting stuff that he does. You should talk to him. So sure enough, I get a call from David, and I don't know, maybe half hour, 45 minutes, an hour later, you know, talking together like we're the brother from a different mother. And he starts to talk about this super secret product that he can't tell me about. And I'm like, well, why would you tell me about it if you can't tell me about it? So he says, it's fantastic, it's wonderful. I'm like, you got to tell me something. He says, I can't tell anybody. I said, David, I'm the guy you can tell. And he did. And it was quite exciting. And we both thought the same thing. We said, listen, if you were going to create a product that never existed, to treat a problem that never existed, you better be right about it. And that's why I'm here. We're researching this product as we speak, and we're all very, very excited about it. Very excited. So I like the fact that Dave wanted to be thorough. One of the other things that I liked about Dave is the slogan, you know, making healthy cool. And I think what we need to do is bring health and wellness out into the forefront. And I really like that slogan. So making healthy cool, I think this is wonderful. And this is what we're going to be doing here. But we have our work cut out for us, though. And the main reason, we changed the first slide here. One slide back. 2 slides back. There we go. This is the horrible statistics. 60 to 70% of Americans are classified as obese, and 50% of Americans are either diabetic or pre-diabetic. Thank you. That's a horrible number. Half of all Americans have diabetes or pre-diabetes. That's extraordinary. And we've created this. We have created this with our diet, with the American diet, and this has to change. This has to change. And the time to change is now, and if not now, when are we going to do this? Very, very important. When you watch television, the most pervasive advertising that you see is fast food and pharmaceutical medications. This too must change. And if it doesn't change now, when are we going to change this? But everyone here has an absolutely amazing opportunity to make that change. To make that change in your diet and in your lifestyle, not just for yourselves and your family, but for your friends and your coworkers. And then in turn, those people can do the same thing. So everybody in this room can affect hundreds, thousands, even millions of people. And I think that's absolutely possible to help millions of people. So it's wonderful you're here and you can make that change. That's exactly why you're here. That's why David Sandoval created this company, and that's why I'm here on stage today. So this is what we're going to do. So let's get down to it though. The reason I'm here is glyphosate. Glyphosate has been in our food since the 1970s, and we've been poisoned by this ever since. But it isn't really until recently that it's come into the forefront, and glyphosate is without a doubt the enemy. We're going to change. Next slide, please. Okay. Glyphosate is the product in Monsanto's Roundup, and unfortunately what Roundup is it's a pesticide, it's an herbicide, and it is a crop desiccant, so it's sprayed on the crops before it's harvested to help it dry. And the problem is it gets baked right in, we grind it up, we make it into food, and then we eat it. So it's in all of our food products, yet we don't really realize this because it's not listed on the label. Nobody says your product has X amount of parts per million of glyphosate. So we're not being told this, which is a real shame. And unfortunately what happens, here we go. This glyphosate damages our gut biome, one of David Sandoval's favorite terms, gut biome. Simply put, the gut biome is the barrier between the environment and the inside of our body. We eat foods, we drink liquids, we unfortunately take in pesticides, and this gut biome is supposed to protect us. It's a single layer of cells, so it's very delicate. It has little finger-like projections called villi, and they reach out and grab the nutrients. And it's surrounded by healthy gut bacteria, which act as soldiers to help modify the foods that it's going by, to help get rid of the toxins, the poisons, to help keep the bad things out. But unfortunately, glyphosate, the same mechanism that glyphosate uses to kill weeds and pesticides, weeds and bugs and so forth, kills the gut bacteria. So when we lose the gut bacteria, we lose that defense. And then we cause gut inflammation, and unfortunately, it causes numerous problems in our body. Okay. Anyhow, the problems that are caused are gut inflammation, increased gut permeability, and decreased immune function. And this is really a problem because, as Dave mentioned, a lot of good stuff happens in our gut, and we really do want to protect it. Okay, let's talk about gut inflammation. Unfortunately, what happens is when the gut gets inflamed, that inflammation goes systemic, and it gets into the rest of our body. And when it gets into the rest of our body, it aggravates every other medical problem that we may have: diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, asthma, emphysema, gout, arthritis, depression, anxiety, sleep problems, cancer. So we really don't want inflammation in our gut, and we especially don't want it in our body. But when we damage the gut biome, this is exactly what happens. Increased gut permeability. What happens with the increased gut permeability is when you get rid of the gut bacteria and you damage those villi and you damage the cells, you can no longer protect your inside environment from the external environment. And toxins get in. And toxins leak into the body, and this is what's called leaky gut syndrome. And unfortunately, with leaky gut syndrome, you see a lot of problems with inflammatory bowel disease, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, numerous immune function problems. We don't want gut inflammation. We don't want systemic inflammation. We certainly don't want increased gut permeability. Okay. Okay. Next slide, please. Most of the body's neurotransmitters are actually made or manipulated in the gut. This is why many times when you have problems with the gut, you have psychiatric problems like anxiety, depression, other problems like sleep disorders, mood disorders. So we really want to protect the neurotransmitters. 70% to 80% of our body's immune system is in our gut. This is huge. So even a small impact on our gut can have a huge impact on our immune system. Our immune system helps to fight infection and cancer. Next slide, please. Thank you. This brings us to our product, Biome. Dave talked about this. This is very, very exciting. When he told me about it, it was super secret. Couldn't tell me a lot of the things. I got a lot of it out of him, and then here we are doing a research study on it. Humic fulvic compounds. What they do is humic fulvic compounds chelate the glyphosate out of your body. It pulls it out like a sponge. We don't want glyphosate in our system. We want to pull it out. Human folded compounds are natural. They're not chemicals. They're not pharmaceuticals. It's not something that's going to hurt your body. This is a very good thing to pull the glyphosate out of your body. Then we want to repair the gut biome, that bacteria. So we have prebiotics and probiotics that help re-inoculate your gut and help to support your gut function. This is unheard of. There's no product out there that has these components in it. Again, we've created something that does not exist to take care of a problem that we never knew of. This is the excitement about being part of a company like this, because this is very foresight thinking, looking into the future and saying, how can we correct, how can we fix these problems? And one of the things that we're going to need is we need everybody in this room and all the people on your team to help support and help to get this out to as many people as possible. And as I said earlier, we're all in a very unique position here, because you can make simple changes to your diet, you can make simple changes to the things that you're bringing into your body, you can supplement yourself with the Purium products, but you can also help your family, your friends, your coworkers, and they can help other people. And that's how we can really affect change. And that's a very, very powerful thing. So I'm glad to be part of this, as I know you guys are too. Now, I've spoken to a lot of people at convention here, and one of the questions that came up invariably, this must have been 50, 60, 70 times in the past couple of days, is how do we get doctors involved in Purium? And is anyone interested in this? We would like to create a Purium professional program where we can take the physicians that you introduced to us and put them through a program where through an online virtual video training series, we can teach them how to incorporate the testing and the treatment together. Would that be something exciting to do? I think so, right? We're going to work on this after convention. Aside from what we're looking to do here, I really am looking forward to working with my team, everybody with Purium, everybody that's out there. I'm going to be restarting my Healthy Happy Hours in 2 weeks at my new office facility and my new gym. So my entire team is going to be there. And we're excited to help everybody on our team, not on our team, up line, down line, left line, right line, whatever. We're excited to help everybody because we're all part of the same team.